The message appeared on his dating profile at 2:37 a.m. 5 simple words that would change everything. I should mention I'm disabled. Mark stared at his phone, the blue light illuminating his tired face in the darkness of his bedroom where his 7-year-old daughter slept just down the hall. He hadn't dated since his wife's death 3 years ago. Now, finally connecting with someone who made him laugh, who seemed to understand the complexities of his life, he faced a choice that would lead to one of the most beautiful and unexpected journeys of his life. If you've ever wondered if true love still exists in our complicated world, this story might just restore your faith. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more incredible real-life stories that will warm your heart and remind you of the power of human connection. Mark Harrison never planned to be a single father. At 36, he had imagined a different life, one where his wife Sarah hadn't been taken by cancer, leaving him alone to raise their daughter Emma. 3 years had passed since Sarah's death, and Mark had thrown himself into fatherhood, his work as an architect, and keeping their modest suburban home running. Dating wasn't even on his radar until his sister Amy created a profile for him on a dating app, insisting it was time to live again. For weeks, the app sat unused on his phone. Then one night, after Emma had gone to bed and the house felt particularly empty, Mark opened it. He swiped through a few profiles half-heartedly until he came across Olivia Chen's profile. Her smile caught his attention first, genuine, reaching her eyes in a way that reminded him of Sarah. Her bio mentioned she was a children's book illustrator who loved hiking, classic movies, and bad puns. Before he could overthink it, Mark swiped right. They matched instantly. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, jumping from favorite films to childhood memories to the challenges of their respective careers. For 2 weeks, they messaged daily. Mark found himself checking his phone during lunch breaks and after putting Emma to bed, eager for Olivia's responses. They had planned to meet that weekend for coffee, their first date. That's when the late-night message came. I should mention I'm disabled. I'm in a wheelchair. I understand if that changes things. Mark read the message several times. He thought about Olivia's profile picture, a close-up of her face with those kind eyes and warm smile. He realized now that all her photos were from the waist up. He thought about their conversations, how she'd mentioned loving hiking but never actually said she went hiking. How she'd talked about her apartment being recently renovated but never explained why. His thumb hovered over the keyboard. He thought about his own life, the complications of being a single dad, the baggage he carried. Who was he to judge someone else's challenges? He typed his response, "It doesn't change anything. I'm still looking forward to meeting you." The coffee shop they chose was in a renovated industrial building with exposed brick walls and large windows that let in streams of morning light. Mark arrived early, nervously adjusting his shirt collar and checking his watch. When Olivia wheeled through the door, he recognized her immediately. Her dark hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders, and she wore a blue dress that matched the color of her eyes. Her wheelchair was sleek and modern, and she navigated it with practiced ease. Their first date lasted 3 hours. They talked until their coffee went cold, then ordered fresh cups. Olivia explained that she had been paralyzed from the waist down in a car accident 6 years ago. She spoke about it matter-of-factly, without self-pity. Mark told her about Sarah, about raising Emma alone, about his fears and hopes as a father. By the time they said goodbye, Mark knew he wanted to see her again. Their relationship developed slowly. Mark introduced Olivia to Emma after a month of dating. He had prepared Emma carefully, explaining that Olivia used a wheelchair to get around because her legs didn't work the same way as other people's. Emma, with the beautiful simplicity of childhood, had simply asked if Olivia could still color with her. When Mark said yes, Emma declared that was all that mattered. Their first meeting took place at a local park. Emma was shy at first, hiding behind Mark's legs. But Olivia had brought her sketchbook and offered to draw Emma as a princess. Within minutes, Emma was perched on a bench beside Olivia's wheelchair, directing the details of her royal portrait with growing enthusiasm. As spring turned to summer, Olivia became a regular presence in their lives. She helped Emma with art projects, introduced her to new books, and even attended her school play. Mark found himself falling in love not just with Olivia, but with the way she fit into their family, filling a space he hadn't realized was empty. But their relationship wasn't without challenges. The first time Mark invited Olivia to his house for dinner, he realized too late that there were 3 steps leading up to his front door with no ramp. He had to carry her up while a neighbor helped with the wheelchair. Later that night, after Emma was asleep, Olivia gently pointed out other obstacles in his home: doorways too narrow for her chair, the inaccessible second floor, the bathroom that would be impossible for her to use independently. "I'm sorry," Mark had said, embarrassed by his lack of foresight. "I should have thought about this." "Most people don't," Olivia replied with a shrug. "You don't notice the barriers until they're in your way." That night, after Olivia left, Mark sat at his kitchen table with a notepad, sketching modifications to his house. As an architect, he understood buildings, how they could be adapted and improved. By morning, he had a plan. Over the next few months, Mark transformed his home. He built a ramp to the front door, widened doorways, installed grab bars in the bathroom, and created a fully accessible bedroom and bathroom on the first floor. He did most of the work himself, often staying up late into the night after Emma was asleep. When he finally showed Olivia the changes, she wheeled through the house in silence, running her hands along the smooth wooden ramp, testing the height of the kitchen counters he had lowered, opening and closing the new sliding doors he had installed. "You did all this for me?" she asked, her voice catching. "I wanted you to feel at home here," Mark said simply. What Mark didn't tell her was that he had also submitted plans to the city to build an accessible playground in their local park. He had noticed how Olivia would watch from a distance as he pushed Emma on the swings, unable to navigate her wheelchair through the wood chips and sand. His design included smooth pathways, adaptive swings, and play structures that children of all abilities could enjoy together. The playground project became a community effort. When word spread about what Mark was trying to do, volunteers came forward, contractors offering materials at cost, neighbors willing to help with construction, local businesses donating funds. Even Emma got involved, setting up a lemonade stand to raise money and telling everyone who stopped by about Daddy's special playground for Olivia and other kids like her. 6 months into their relationship, on a crisp fall day, Mark took Olivia to see the completed playground. A small crowd had gathered for the unofficial opening, families with children, some in wheelchairs, others with various assistive devices, and many without visible disabilities at all. "You did this?" Olivia asked, looking around in wonder at the colorful, accessible space. "We all did," Mark replied, gesturing to the community members who had helped. As they watched Emma play alongside children of all abilities, Olivia reached for Mark's hand. "When I sent you that message telling you I was in a wheelchair, I never expected this. Most men disappear when they find out." "I'm not most men," Mark said, squeezing her hand. "No," Olivia agreed with a smile. "You're definitely not." That evening, as they sat on Mark's newly built deck watching the sunset, Olivia shared something she had never told him before. Before her accident, she had dreamed of having a family, but afterward, she had convinced herself it wasn't possible. Dating had been difficult, with many potential partners unable to see past her wheelchair. She had almost given up on finding someone who would love her completely. "I stopped believing I could have this," she said, gesturing to the house where Emma could be seen through the window, setting the table for dinner. "A family, a home, a future with someone." Mark took her hand. "Emma and I were just existing before you came into our lives. You helped us start living again." As their relationship deepened, they faced other challenges. There were stares when they went out together, uncomfortable questions from strangers, and occasional accessibility issues that made spontaneous outings difficult. Mark's parents, while polite to Olivia, expressed concerns to Mark in private about the complications of his relationship choice. Olivia's mother worried that Mark might eventually find caring for someone with a disability too burdensome. But for every challenge, they found solutions together. Mark became adept at researching accessible restaurants and venues before dates. Olivia developed a sense of humor about the awkward questions and stares. They educated their families patiently, showing rather than telling them how their relationship worked. A year after they met, Mark proposed. He took Olivia back to the accessible playground he had built, now bustling with children of all abilities. He had arranged for Emma to help, and she proudly handed Olivia a children's book, one that Olivia recognized as her own work, but with pages she had never illustrated. The book told the story of a princess in a silver chariot, clearly meant to be Olivia in her wheelchair, who meets a lonely king and his daughter. The final page showed the three characters holding hands with the words, "Will you be part of our family forever?" written beneath. Through tears, Olivia said yes. Their wedding was a testament to their journey. They held it in the park by the accessible playground, with Emma as the flower girl. Mark's sister Amy, who had created his dating profile, served as Olivia's maid of honor. The ceremony included elements that honored Sarah's memory while celebrating the new family they were creating. For their first dance, Mark surprised everyone. Instead of the traditional dance with Olivia in her wheelchair, he had worked with a physical therapist to create something special. With the help of lightweight leg braces and Mark's strong support, Olivia stood from her wheelchair. Together, they swayed gently to the music, Mark's arms securely around her waist, her arms around his neck, their foreheads touching as they moved in a small circle. There wasn't a dry eye at the reception. After the wedding, Mark, Olivia, and Emma became advocates for accessibility in their community. Mark's architectural firm began specializing in universal design, creating spaces that worked for people of all abilities. Olivia's children's books now often featured characters with disabilities, showing them as heroes of their own stories rather than objects of pity. 2 years after their wedding, they decided to expand their family. The adoption process was challenging. Some agencies had concerns about Olivia's ability to care for an infant. But they persevered, adapting their home further and demonstrating the strong support system they had built. When they finally brought home their son, a 6-month-old boy named Leo, Emma was the proudest big sister imaginable. Olivia had worked with an occupational therapist to develop techniques for baby care from her wheelchair, and Mark had designed and built adaptive nursery furniture that made it easier for her to lift and care for Leo independently. Their family continued to grow in unexpected ways. Mark's accessible playground design gained attention, and soon other communities were requesting similar projects. He and Olivia started a non-profit organization dedicated to creating inclusive spaces for families of all abilities. They traveled to speak at conferences, sharing their story and advocating for better accessibility everywhere. 5 years after that first late-night message, Mark and Olivia sat together on their deck, watching Emma help Leo navigate the backyard playground Mark had built for them. The yard was filled with the sounds of children laughing, not just their own, but those of neighbors and friends who regularly gathered at their home, drawn by the warmth and acceptance they found there. "Do you ever think about that night?" Olivia asked. "When I told you I was in a wheelchair?" Mark nodded. "Sometimes. I think about how close I came to missing all of this." "What made you respond the way you did?" she asked. "Most people would have made an excuse, disappeared." Mark thought for a moment. "After Sarah died, I learned that life doesn't always go according to plan. But that doesn't mean the new plan can't be beautiful in its own way." He took her hand. "I didn't see your wheelchair as an obstacle. I saw it as part of your journey, just like being a widower was part of mine." Olivia leaned her head against his shoulder. "You know what Emma told me yesterday? She said when she grows up, she wants to build things like you do, but she also wants to draw like me. And she wants to make the world better for people like me." Mark smiled. "She's learning the most important lesson, that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone whose imperfections fit with yours." As the sun set over their home, casting long shadows across the accessible pathways and modified play structures Mark had built, they sat in comfortable silence, watching their children play. Their story had begun with 5 simple words that might have ended things before they started. Instead, those words had been the beginning of a journey neither of them could have imagined. In a world that often focuses on limitations, Mark and Olivia had created a life defined by possibilities. Their love story wasn't about overcoming Olivia's disability, it was about building a world where her disability didn't prevent her from having everything she dreamed of: love, family, purpose, and joy. And in doing so, they hadn't just changed each other's lives. They had changed their community, inspired others facing similar challenges, and shown Emma and Leo what true love and acceptance look like. What started as a late-night message on a dating app had rippled outward, touching countless lives and creating change that would last long after they were gone. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We believe in sharing real stories of extraordinary love and courage that remind us all of our shared humanity. In a world that can sometimes feel divided, these stories connect us and show us what's possible when we open our hearts to unexpected journeys. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know whose story you'd like to hear next.